Alright guys, welcome back to Elden Ring. Before we go into Leyndell Capital proper, we need to continue Boggart's questline. If you don't remember him, because we haven't seen him in quite a while, he is the NPC that was selling boiled prawns in the Liurnia of the Lakes region. He's also the NPC that stole Raya's necklace. What we need to do right now is exhaust all of Boggart's dialogue. He is currently residing here in the outer moat, just outside of the capital walls. He's selling boiled crabs, which is an upgrade from the boiled prawns that we had earlier. I highly recommend buying some boiled crabs from him because they negate a lot of physical damage, and we'll be needing that in the future. Since our vigor level is still at 12, technically we still have Godfrey's Great Rune, which is giving us 17 vigor, but technically we only have 12. And we're kind of deep into the game already with only 12 vigor, so having that extra damage negation will help us. You want to avoid these golems as much as possible. They are still going to shoot at you, but if you get up to about right here, you can just drop off. Most of the time you'll just have an arrow just whiz by you just like that. He rarely hits me on the way down here, and you're going to need to make your way down here a few times. But there's something very annoying about this area, guys. There's two things in this area that make this area very annoying. The first thing are the dragonflies. They get up in your face and they get in your way when you're trying to fight things. So we're going to deal with them proper later. We're going to use a special Ash of War that will allow us to kill them very easily. Once you've exhausted all of Boggart's dialogue, you can buy some boiled crabs. I recommend buying some. They're well worth it. Now, over here is a blight crab that will spawn. He's very annoying. And especially when you have to fight the Dung Eater at the same time as the crab. But we're going to make sure we don't have to deal with the crab once we fight Dung Eater in this area later. Okay, now it's time to get our next status effect, which is sleep. We're going to be using sleep in this episode a little bit, so we want to go ahead and get it. The best way to get it is to come to this grace right here, the Ruins Grace. Now, the sword that we're going for, the St Trina's sword, is locked behind a stone sword key and is guarded by two giant crows. Now, we do not want to deal with these crows. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with our stealth setup once we get closer here. We can run up to here. I don't like using torrent because I don't want to aggro them. But you just want to come over here, and once you get line of sight on the area, then we'll start using the concealing veil, and we'll have the Crepus Vial also equipped. This is for maximum stealth. You can see there's a giant crow on the left over there, but there's also one that's going to aggro on us no matter what. It's kind of one of those, they're programmed to move even if they don't see you kind of thing. But as long as you stay crouched here, and we're just going to keep doing our rolls here. You want to get to the Forsaken Ruins location here, and just go straight over here to where the stone sword key is. You can see that the crow already aggroed, but they can't really see us. So we're just going to grab this Trina's Lily real quick and then run down here. And we'll get the St Trina's sword. This sword will allow us to inflict the status effect sleep infinitely, so we don't have to waste valuable Trina's lilies. Now that we have the St Trina's sword, let's go ahead and upgrade it. So we're going to take it to +2 for now, but we're also going to purchase Somber Stones 1 through 4 from EG here in preparation for upgrading our Magma Whip candlestick once we get enough stones to get it to +7, which will be in this episode. We're not quite ready to go into Leyndell yet. We need to continue Dung Eater's quest, so we need to go back to the Round Table Hold now and speak to him. Because we have a seedbed curse on us, because we got one earlier from the Volcano Manor, you're normally not going to have one at this point because you have to go into Leyndell Capital to get one, but we got one from Volcano Manor, so we'll be able to progress his storyline here. Exhaust all of Dung Eater's dialogue until he gives you a key. This key will be used to free him from his jail cell underneath Leyndell sewers within the Subterranean Shunning grounds. Now once we do that, we can progress the quest of not only Dung Eater, but Boggart as well. Doing this part of Boggart's quest before going into Leyndell Capital is important because we're going to need this weapon to kill one of the bosses in the Leyndell Capital. Okay, let's go over our loadout for Leyndell Capital and the Subterranean Shunning grounds. You're definitely going to want the Nox Flowing Sword and the Misericord. You're also going to definitely want the Crepus Vial Talisman and the Concealing Veil Talisman. This is for stealth purposes once we get into the Subterranean Shunning grounds. We're also going to put on some Sleep Pots and the Crystal Darts. You don't need the Sacrificial Axe, I just have it here for FP regeneration purposes, but it's not necessary. There is no resistance to the next grace, so while we're headed there, let's go ahead and talk about Bock's quest and the conclusion to it. Because we're going for the good ending, we want to make sure we do not give him a larval tear, or even entertain the idea of giving him a larval tear. But we do need the gold sewing needle, which we already have from the Church of Vows, and we need the prattling pate from the Mount Gilmore region, which we already got as well. So what we need to finish Bock's quest is we need to go to Inya and Round Table Hold and purchase a set of boss armor. Then we need to take it to Bock, who's going to be at this next grace. We're going to give him the gold sewing needle, and we're going to use the prattling pate and not choose the wrong set of dialogue, and that will complete his quest. But we'll do that in the next episode. Now we're coming up on a new enemy type called the Oracle Envoys. These enemies have a nice weapon called the Envoy Horns. There are 3 types of this weapon. We can get 2 of them right here, but the third is exclusive to another area much later in the game. These enemies are weak to slash and pierce damage, and they're slightly resistant to strike damage, so I'm just going to use the Nox Flowing Swords attacks to take them out. It's easy enough. Now we skipped the big guy, he's up top there, big envoys. We'll farm for his weapon later on, but we want to jump off right here and take out this envoy that's coming towards us. And there's a page in here. We want to sit by the wall here, lock onto him, and just charge him. Start wailing on him with just regular attacks and get him in a stun lock situation, and he'll be dead. So we're coming up on yet another enemy type that we've never seen before. This is called the Broken Statue. They're stationary enemies that will just shoot their perfume spells at you. We're just going to stick to the left here and jump over the fire. And once we do that, they're a sitting duck because they don't have any mobility. 2 charge attacks and it's done. Switch to the Misericord, Royal Knight's Resolve if you want, and backstab this page that's on patrol. He didn't expect you to come from behind. Now we're just going to clear out the rest of the Oracle Envoys down here from behind. They didn't expect us to come from this direction. We can use Nox Flowing Swords Flowing Form, take them 2 out at once, and then just finish this guy off. And this area is clear for the most part. We didn't kill the big envoy up there. We'll do that later. We're just going to take this lift down and go into the next room. There's going to be a perfumer in there. We're just going to charge him. He won't know what hit him. But then we need to climb the ladder in this room and get our second Seedbed Curse. We need to get 5 Seedbed Curses to complete Dung Eater's quest. We've already gotten 1 in Volcano Manor, so this will be the second that we need of 5. And then before the end of this episode, we'll get our 3rd from Boggart's quest. Now, while we're mainly here to get to the mountaintops of the giants, we have other additional objectives we need to complete while we're here, and that involves going into the Subterranean Shunning grounds. We want to come out here and get on these rooftops and just jump from rooftop to rooftop. And if you stick to the left, you will not aggro the enemies on the right because you have the Crepus Vial equipped. And just run to this area down here. Usually a boss will spawn, but if we're sticking to this left side, he will not spawn, and we can just go through this doorway and hit this grace right here and talk to Melina.
My utmost thanks for bringing here, and thus I shall do farewell. I shall leave. I wish you have. I have no.
Now, before I forget, I'm going to switch out the Nox Flowing Sword for the Uchi Katana because I need access to the Unsheath skill. The Unsheath skill will carry you through the first part of the Leyndell sewers because there are a lot of imps down there and there's no better way to deal with them than using Unsheath and then just reposting them. Be careful of the Leyndell Knight here on the right. Just jump off and then jump into this well right here. We'll come back to this area because there's a Ash of War that we really want to get in that courtyard, but we'll get it in due time. Now, for whatever reason, there are some rats down here that will attack you even if you have the Beast Torch equipped. It only happened a few times, but I'm always paranoid about these rats, so I recommend just not wasting too much time around here. They will attack you for some reason. I don't know if it's one of those pre-programmed attacks that the enemies are supposed to do to you, but I just have the Beast Torch out and just don't waste too much time down here. For the most part, they will not attack you, but I have had times where they do attack. And I think they do it here as well. Now, after you open this door, be wary because there are omens down here, and they will follow you all the way to the Grace and will not allow you to sit at it. So make sure you have the Concealing Veil and the Crepus Vial equipped to ensure they do not follow you. Stick to the left, and the area will be right here. Hit this Grace, and check your 6 to make sure nobody's following you. Now, if you want this next area to go by smoothly, you'll need two things. Crystal Darts and Sleep Pots. And, of course, the Uchi Katana that I mentioned earlier. And you'll need a hefty amount of FP. We're not going to need health here. So FP for the win because we're going to be using quite a bit of the Unsheath. But I am going to have the Sacrificial Axe equipped and the Ancestral Horn equipped and the Cerulean Assassin's Dagger so I can get my FP back. But it's not necessary if you don't want to do this. But the Crystal Darts are a necessity if you want to make this area as easy as possible. And you'll need the Sleep Pots as well. So you want to drop down here and run and hit this first imp with 2 darts. Quickly. Throw 2 immediately and then just stand right here and wait for your second imp to come down and they will attack each other. There is another imp hanging about over there, but I couldn't get a lock on. Now just wait until the victor is coming up to you. Once he jumps up, he'll be vulnerable because he's got to recover from his jumping animation. Then you can repost, and the first 2 imps are down. Then jump over here, and I actually got a rare drop here I'm pretty happy about. The imp head, one of the imp heads. Now you want to lock on to, this was the one I couldn't lock on earlier. Hit him with a crystal dart, and then unsheath, and he'll just fall to his death. You lock on to this one right here, and do the same thing. But be careful, don't go too far, you'll aggro some other imps. But as long as you do it like this, you'll be okay. Don't travel past the bend in the pipe. Come over here. We'll lock on, we're going to lock onto this one first. He'll fall to his death. Some of them will just fall to their death. And you'll know because you'll have the Sacrificial Axe equipped, and you'll get the FP for it. Another reason I wanted to have it, just to know if I killed the enemy or not. Of course, you'll get runes too. There's a Somber 6 here. Now over here, there will be an imp already throwing daggers at you. Just make sure you jump in time. Just unsheath. This is really a good combination to take out the imps. I really don't want to use anything else, to be honest. I'm going to come over here and get this item here, which is a Smithing Stone 7. And we can go ahead and lock on to our next imp, which is right there. You can just get the range on him. There's more imps over there, but we'll wait for that because we need to go ahead and put on the Concealing Veil here. I'm not sure why I'm putting on the Dagger Talisman. I didn't use it. I guess just in case I had to fight the Omen. But there's an Omen in here on the left. But if you stick to the right, you can open up a shortcut. And that's what we're going to do. That's why we're using the Concealing Veil so he doesn't see us. We are going to break the range because we want to get the item that's really close to the Omen right there. But we'll be able to get away just in time. Shadow bait spell and just roll away. He will not follow you up to a point, so once you go past this pipe right here, he won't follow you. We got some more imps to take out. There's one hanging on the ceiling here. Or a crystal dart. Now, for some reason, there's an imp right here that didn't aggro on me, but I was very close to him. I don't know why he didn't aggro. He's just sitting there. You might have to deal with two at a time, but hopefully not. But I couldn't get the backstab on him. He knew I was there. But just do unsheath again. Finish him off. This area is clear now. We're going to switch to the cat talisman. Well, actually, there's one more imp here. We just throw a dart at him. We'll switch to the cat talisman so we don't want to take damage on this fall here. There's going to be a couple of falls here that we'll take damage from. And because this is an optimal guide where we're trying not to take any damage whatsoever, this will prevent it. Now, when you drop down here, get your sleeping pots ready, because these giant crawfish, they're so susceptible to sleep that one pot will put them down for a nap. Drop down here. You just don't want to deal with these enemies if you don't have to. Alternatively, if you don't have pots, use the St Trina sword. That's another reason we went ahead and got it. But we're going to be using the sword shortly. There's a Somber 7 and a regular Smithing Stone 7 here. You want to make sure you bait this guy's attacks out and wait for him to come to you. And one more sleeping pot later, and it's nap time for him. Now this scarab here holds another Somber 7, so very important to take this one out. We're collecting a lot of the high-level smithing stones here. And make sure to get this next item over here. This is Mog's Shackle. The same thing that Morgott's Shackle does, except for Mog, which we have not met yet. Trust me, you'll want this item. You want to take a quick right here, and we have arrived in Leyndell Catacombs. Now, we're going to want to redo our setup here because we don't have the current setup to take out the omens effectively. There are several omens down here, and we have to face them at hand-to-hand combat, and the best way to do it is with our setup we're about to do. You want to take off one of your slots if you have to and put on the Blood Flame Blade. We got this earlier. This will put on bleed and flame on your weapon. Extremely effective spell buff for your weapon here. We also want Morgott's Shackle for later. We're going to keep the crystal darts. We're going to need those as well. The dagger talisman is a must. The cestus and also the pulley crossbow. And we're going to use St Trina's sword for the first time. So here's our loadout for the Leyndell Catacombs. Also blood-blown bolts. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, don't forget the winged sword insignia. That's going to help us a lot. So there are putrid corpses down here that are very tanky, and I just don't feel like fighting them, but you can put them to sleep and just loot the area and make the area safe, and that's what we're going to do. They have way too much health for us to bother with. So you want to run through this first area, up the stairs, and in this first room there are 3 putrid corpses. 3 hits with St Trina's sword will put them to sleep. And since we're not coming back to this area in particular, we don't have to worry about them waking up. Now we want to make sure we get Morgott's Shackle ready because we need to disable a flame trap here to the left. And make sure you stand by these enemies and just wait until they aggro and start to explode. Just run away from them. But whatever you do, do not ignore these enemies, because if you do ignore them, they will follow you into other rooms and interrupt you when you're fighting enemies like the omens. Very annoying. Now we want to come into this area where the trap was. Put this guy to sleep. Now we're about to face off with the first omen of the catacombs. Here's how we're going to deal with them. You want to get your whip out. Use Flame, Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow. And then get your cestus ready. And use the Blood Flame Blade incantation on it. And you're going to run up behind him and backstab him. As soon as you get a chance, go into a combo, a heavy combo, R2. Right here, 1, 2, and then continue to follow up. He'll go down again, and you do another repost. And most of the time, that's all it takes. But for some reason, this guy was stubborn and didn't want to die. Just put him down and get the talisman. The Crucible Scale Talisman. Now we want to return to where we came, so we come down here. The putrid corpse that we put to sleep should still be napping, so no problem there. You want to take a left here, and you want to stand underneath the statue about right here, out of sight. Then you're going to tilt the camera up until you can see the Omen on patrol. Once you see him start buffing, it's the same as before. Flame grant me strength, golden vow. Cestus buffed with blood flame. And then you're just going to run up on him and repeat. This is the way to kill these guys with our build right now. The easiest way. Continue to go into a combo. As long as you go into that heavy combo as he's rising up, he'll never stand a chance. Not with all these buffs active. Now this area is confusing, and the reason it's confusing is because the level design is the same. The rooms look the same, and you'll think you've been there, but you haven't. So trust me when I say, even if you think you've been in a room, you haven't, as long as you're following this guide. So you want to jump down and then head into this area right here, get your pulley crossbow out, and turn left. You don't actually have to go in this room, it's optional, but there is some glove ward in here that's valuable. So you want to lock on and start pelting this guy with blood bone bolts, and then just run away. We're cheesing this guy because it's the easiest way. Come back to the door and he can't do anything. Just continue to pelt him until he's dead. There is another Omen in the room that we will deal with proper, but dealing with 2 Omens in the same room I just thought was a little unfair, so I did this. And I don't feel sorry for it. Again, this is an optional room. We're going to go ahead and switch to the Uchikatana again because there are some imps coming up and we want to make sure we're ready for them. But again, we need to take out another Omen, so the same setup as before. Flame grant me strength, golden vow, blood flame blade on the cestus. Backstab, heavy combo, repost. Just run up on them as soon as they're rising up and you'll get the combo most times. I really haven't had any trouble with these guys with this strategy. And neither should you. Now, about that level design I was talking about. We're about to see it full force. Because I was so confused. I was like, haven't I been in this room before? This room sure looks familiar. Man, this room has got to be the room I was just in. No, trust me when I say they just repeat the same rooms. It's very annoying, but just follow where I'm going and you'll be okay. You want to go up these stairs, turn right, and look at this. It's another trap. It looks like the same room we were just in, right? But how did the trap get reset? It didn't. But the layout is exactly the same. You can go right here and face some more Omens for some more glove wart, but we're going to bypass it here. And again, this is where we fought the Omen, where it looks like it. It looks exactly the same, doesn't it? But this is a tricky little spot here. There is a imp that you cannot get to. He's just out of reach for you. He's above your head, and he's going to attack you as soon as you go past this little area right here. So what we want to do is draw him out, but there's another imp on patrol. So what we want to do is have them fight each other so we don't have to deal with them. Well, we have to at least throw something at the ground in front of the arch. So the best way to do it is to just throw a crystal dart and he'll drop down. And then you just make them fight each other. It's a beautiful thing to behold. And just finish off the victor. If the imp is throwing daggers, just time your jumps appropriately and wait for your chance to unsheath and repost. And that's it. There are no more imps in this area. Now we just need to open the way to the boss. When we kill this boss, we'll get a very good talisman that will go well with our other talismans, especially the Kindred of Rot Exaltation that we got earlier. This one is called the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. It's the same effect as the Kindred of Rot Exaltation, but they can stack with each other. And the Winged Talisman can stack with it as well. So we have 3 talismans that will stack damage with each other, which is amazing. When we hit this lever here, we're just going to drop down. These are the enemies we put to sleep earlier, so we're just going to run past them. And we're back at the start again. Let's go ahead and hit this Grace and prep for the boss. Now while we're at the Grace, let's go ahead and level up again. I'm going to focus on Faith and Arcane. Faith I want to get to 38, and Arcane I want to get to 24. By the end of this episode, my Faith will be 38, but my Arcane will not quite be to 24 yet, but that's what we're going to be working on in the near future. Now for the boss, we're just going to have our regular buffs as usual, but we're going to use the Nox Flowing Sword. It's going to trivialize this boss. For this boss fight, the talismans aren't going to really be that important. I am going to put on the Ritual Sword Talisman, however. We're going to put on the Golden Scarab and the Filigreed Crest, but you really don't need to worry about the talismans. What you do need to worry about is having the Beast Torch in your offhand. This is extremely important. The Beast Torch will prevent the Rotten Strays from attacking you. And another thing about this boss fight, do not summon for this boss fight, because if you do, you will aggro the strays on you. So just do your main buffs as usual. Flame Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow, drink the flask, and get your Beast Torch ready in your left hand, offhand. Double hand your Nox Flowing Sword, but make sure that you have the Beast Torch on your back. Come over here to this pillar and put the pillar between you and the boss and hit the boss a few times, and it's just spam city from here on out. They shouldn't even get an attack off. The main problem with this boss are the Rotten Strays, and they're not going to attack us with the Beast Torch. So really having the Beast Torch is the key to victory. The Lord of Blood's Exaltation. We're getting closer to our build that we're really going to trivialize bosses with. We're not quite there yet. We still need to get a certain Ash of War and a Wet Blade, and then our build will be nearly complete. We'll be able to start using it, that's for sure. Now we need to go free Dung Eater from his jail cell. Now, I do recommend having some kind of fire damage, because we're going to be fighting some finger creepers. And yeah, that's what they're called. We haven't really seen them much. We saw them when we did a quick stroll through Carrier Manor. We didn't fight any of them, but we're going to see them here, and we need to kill them with fire. Fire is your best bet here, besides slashing damage. But we're just going to use our pot loadout here. We're going to use the Volcano Pots with the Flame Scorpion Charm and the Jellyfish Shield once we get there. Now, I forgot to put on the Crepus Vial here. You definitely want to have that here, because you don't want to aggro the many omens that are in the area. So you're just going to run over here and drop down. With the Crepus Vial, they will not attack you. They don't even know you're here. Again, here are some of the rats that were a little aggressive, and I thought, well, see, look at them. They're just coming at me. I got the Beast Torch here, so I was kind of wondering why they did that. But they're passive now, but I'm not taking any chances. We're going to down them. I think what it is if you get too close to where they're hiding, like right here, he just comes out of the crate. I think they're just programmed to do that no matter what. So I do think that the Beast Torch does work, but yeah, I'm just going to kill them anyway. We're going to pop our physics flask here. Now stay right here and wait for the explosion. There's going to be a poison explosion here. That's one reason I use the Crimson Burst tier here, to constantly regen for 3 minutes, just in case I got poisoned. Now when you climb up this ladder, you're going to be in a room with finger creepers. Some of them are on the ceiling and some of them are on the ground. Now you want to kill the one that's on the ground, the larger one, because it will drop a Somber Smithing Stone 7, which is amazing, so we want to get that. But you can see they're on the ceiling here. We're going to buff and use our jellyfish shield here we need to load up. Get even more damage with our pots. These are smaller. The smaller ones won't take money hits, but the larger one in the middle of the room there, they're going to take quite a bit of damage. But yeah, those are the small ones. Not too much of a threat. But the big one right here, it's a trap. That item there is a trap. So you're just going to throw a few volcano pots until it's dead. You definitely don't want it to grab you. Once it starts attacking you, it's really hard to dodge the attack. Try not to fall off like I did here. But they have a lot of annoying attacks where it's just really hard to stop them from attacking you. Once they hit you once, it's really hard to stop them from hitting you again. So you want to get the edge on these things right away. There's your Somber Smithing Stone 7. And we'll also get a Lost Ash of War. Remember, these can duplicate Ashes of War. Now we need to talk to Dung Eater. By doing this, however, we are going to set events in motion that we cannot change. But we need them to happen. We want them to happen, even though it's a sad ending for one of our NPCs. Once you tell Dung Eater to leave his jail, we need to make our way back to the outer moat where we talk to Boggart. However, we're going to take a pit stop here because we need to get an Ash of War that I had talked about earlier just before we went into the well where the sewers were. We need to get this Ash of War because it's going to benefit us in the long run, and it is the #1 kryptonite for dragonflies. If you guys are sick of dragonflies, then here's your solution. They will no longer be annoying to kill. We can pretty much just one-shot them from anywhere. Well, we have to be in range of them. I'm going to jump down here and kill this enemy. Be careful, there are more in the area. You know if they grab you, you're pretty much dead. But here is the scarab here. Just get the Ash of War Thunderbolt and back up because there's going to be 2 more enemies coming at you. But a few more flowing forms later and there are no more. Now we're ready to go back to the moat. So we need to go back to Boggart and talk to him about the Dung Eater. Once we do this, we'll need to come back to a grace and travel back to him again. But when we travel back to him again, he will die. But he will leave behind his weapon, his armor, and his bell bearing. And then we'll have to defeat the Dung Eater. But unfortunately, dealing with the Dung Eater isn't so easy because there is a giant blight crab that will attack you while you're fighting the Dung Eater. You can try to run away, but the thing is, I believe that if the Dung Eater uses certain AoE attacks, it will wake up the crab. So what I've tried to do is just run away from the spot as much as possible and just kill the Dung Eater as quickly as I can. And this seems to not spawn the crab. So in this fight, I did not have to deal with the crab. So hopefully you don't have to deal with him either. The blight crab is a very annoying enemy to fight while you're fighting the Dung Eater. But the way we're going to take out the Dung Eater is we're going to have the coiled sword equipped. We're going to proc poison immediately with 1 attack, and we're going to have the Kindred of Rock Exaltation equipped, and then we're just going to hit him a few times with Flowing Form, and it'll be over. Using certain talismans in combination with certain builds will make this game so easy, as you guys have seen. And we're going to do it again. Now, let's go ahead and have some fun. These dragonflies are annoying as hell. But by equipping the Ash of War on our falchion here, Thunderbolt, we can just have some lightning strike them and they can't do anything about it. You have to be in somewhat of a range, but it's a lot easier than what we have to deal with before. Now we need to talk to Boggart.
Alright, mate. Yeah, never thought I would. It was that month.
We're just going to purchase some more crabs from him. We'll be able to buy as many crabs as we want once we get his bell bearing.
Someone with a taste for crab I couldn't trust. You've got a real thing here, eh? And it's only getting better.
It's really sad that he has to die, but we needed his stuff, so either way he had to die. Now let's go ahead and prep for the Dung Eater. What we're going to need, like I said, is the coiled shield for the poison buildup. It's pretty much an instant proc. The Kindred of Rot Exaltation is pretty much all you need, and the Nox Flowing Sword. And the thing about the coiled shield is, once you use the snake, it stops them in their tracks. That's what I really like about the coiled shield, is that if they're charging you, it will stop them. And it stuns them for a brief moment, giving you a chance to attack. And that's what we're going to do. But not only is it going to stop them, but it's going to proc the Kindred of Rot Exaltation, which will deal even more damage to the Dung Eater. Plus, he's going to try to heal a few times. He will heal, and then the other one, it'll be empty, but he'll be trying to heal, and that gives you a few extra hits, and that's all it's going to take, really. But we're just going to go down here and speak to Boggart for the final time. There is a way to save Boggart, but you will not get his weapon, and his weapon is going to serve us well in the next boss fight. So it's for the greater good. At least we can save Bach. We take what we can get. Now, we're just going to clear out the area. I recommend killing a few of the dragonflies that are wandering about, because you just don't want them to fight you during the fight with Dung Eater. It's just so annoying to have these things about. We're just going to strike them down with our amazing power now. Again, I do recommend farming for as many falchions as you can, so you can put all kinds of Ash of Wars on them and have them at the ready. Alright, let's go talk to our friend one last time. We'll get a Seedbed curse from him as well. This will be our 3rd of 5. We're going to go ahead and buff, because shortly after he dies, we will not have much time to buff before the Dung Eater will arrive. Plus, we need to get away from the crab. Just hurry up and exhaust the dialogue and grab his stuff. As soon as he dies, grab the items and run. We do not want to fight Dung Eater close to where Boggart died. We want to get as far away from Boggart as we can, because that will decrease the chances of the Blight Crab waking up. The first thing we need to do with the Dung Eater is proc the poison. We were just out of range there. Let's do it again. One hit will proc the poison, and the Rot Exaltation has already been activated. So we're going to hit him a few times with Flowing Form. He's already trying to heal. He's trying to heal again. And he's done. Easy peasy. For killing the Dung Eater, you will get his weapon, the Sword of Milos. This Sword of Milos will regenerate focus points, much like the Sacrificial Axe. What's cool about that is you can stack the Sacrificial Axe and the Sword of Milos together. And now, along with the Ancestral Horn talisman that we got, we'll be getting triple the amount of FP back if we wanted to. Plus, we have some other plans that we're going to do to regenerate even more focus points in the future. We need to talk to Dung Eater, and he'll be impressed that we have warded off his blessing. Then he'll ask for you to give him your blessing. Again, we need 5 Seedbed curses to complete his quest, and we have 3 of the 5 already. So now that the Dung Eater's quest is done for now, we're going to head back to the Avenue Balcony Site of Grace in Leyndell Capital. We're going to go ahead and level up again. We're going to focus again on our Arcane. We can get it to 20, so we can actually wield our next weapon, the Rivers of Blood, once we get it. Because it takes 20 Arcane to wield it. We're going to go to the Linery of Lakes and visit our friend the blacksmith here. And we are going to strengthen our Magma Whip candlestick to +7. Now that we have enough stones to do so. We're going to purchase some more from him. And now we're headed back to the Avenue Balcony Site of Grace. We're going to take on a mini-boss here. And it's trivial. It's one of those putrid avatars. But now with our Magma Whip the way it is, we are going to absolutely annihilate this boss. So we're going to use our Magma Whip Candlestick now for the first time. We're going to put on the Fire Scorpion Charm, of course, and the Ritual Sword Talisman and our buffs. And that's all we need. It's only going to take 2 swipes to kill this enemy. However, if it jumps up in the air, it should have died in 2 hits, but it took me 3 hits because it jumped up in the air and the lava did not kill him that was on the ground. But I have done it in 2 hits, so it is possible with this same exact setup. So once it comes to the ground, just hit it 1 time. And depending on what it does, you can kill it with the next hit. But unfortunately for us, it jumps up in the air right here. And by the time it landed, the lava had dissipated, but we just hit it 1 more time, and that's a wrap. So let's redo our setup here for the next section. Stealth is your best bet here. We're going to go with the Crepice Vial and the Concealing Veil. This will make the area much easier to get through. Now, in addition to the runes that we got for killing that avatar, we also got the Lord's Rune, which is worth a hefty 50,000 runes. Not too shabby for killing that boss. Now you want to start crouching here and just start rolling. You'll see a Leyndell Knight. It doesn't know you're here yet. Just keep crouched and keep rolling around. I missed an item here. I don't even know what it was right here. I was just too preoccupied to getting to the dragon area. You want to get up to this dragon area and just start climbing. These Leyndell Knights have very powerful lightning attacks that will get you from range. So you just want to keep a low profile as long as you can. Once you get up here, you're pretty much home free from the enemies down there anyway. There is another Leyndell Knight on the left up here after you climb this ladder, but with the Crepice Vial equipped, you're not going to alert him at all. Unfortunately, I had a little grunt that I didn't see, and he started hitting me a few times. It's the only damage I've taken so far, and it was from this little grunt here. I didn't see him coming. He was out of my line of sight here, and he's going to throw some lightning at me here. And I thought I could get to the Grace in time, and he just followed me and said, "You're not going to sit at this Grace without dealing with me first." So we're just going to whip him a few times, and we'll sit at the Grace. Now, before we go to the next boss, we need to go back to the Round Table Hold because we need to upgrade our new weapon that we got from Boggart. The Iron Ball Fist weapon will serve us very well in the fight with Elden Lord Godfrey. Well, the projected image of him. Godfrey cannot be... You cannot use status effects against Godfrey, but what you can do is poise break him, and that's what we're going to focus on. Poise breaking this boss is the key to victory. Then you can use a critical with the Dagger Talisman, and he'll be pretty much dead. Even with our low vigor, we can still take this guy out. Don't forget to give the bell bearing that we got from Boggart to the Twin Maiden Husks as well. This will allow you to buy unlimited boiled prawns and boiled crabs from the Twin Maiden Husks. Now we need to get it all of our smithing stones here, 12 of each of the 4 stones. And we're going to upgrade the Iron Ball to plus 12. But we also need to put Crag Blade on it for even more poise damage. That's what we're focusing on with this boss fight. Once we break his poise, we'll be able to do a critical attack, and with Royal Knight's Resolve, it's going to do even more critical damage, plus with the Dagger Talisman, he's going to lose a lot of health, and he'll be down to just a few hits to finish him off. But we do need to get this upgraded as much as possible. And the attacks that we're going to use with the Iron Ball are the charged heavies, the two-handed R2s, and the two-handed R2s without a charge. So you'll have to pick and choose when you attack. We're also going to put it as a heavy Iron Ball. But once the boss does a particular one-handed downward swing, that's when you can go in for your charged heavy. Any other time, you're just going to go for a regular heavy. That is the key to victory. Let's go ahead and put on our tiers here. The stone barb tier and the spiked tier. Now let's go over the loadout for Godfrey. You're going to need the dagger talisman, the axe talisman, and the ritual sword talisman. But we'll switch that once we get to the boss. We're going to keep the Crepus vial on for now. You'll need your whip, the iron ball, and the misericord. That's pretty much it. But we're just going to keep the Crepus vial on for now so we can run past all of these enemies and they will not know we're here. Crepus vial is one of the best talismans in the entire game. It's like the Slumbering Dragoncrest ring from Dark Souls 3, which I said was pretty much the best ring in the game, so pretty much the same here. You will draw a few aggros from a few of these enemies, but just keep on running and you'll get to the boss with no resistance. There is a particular rare armor set from one of these guys too that you will not be able to get again, so you might want to farm for it if you're a 100% completionist. Now, before we go in, make sure to switch out the Crepus vial for the ritual sword talisman. Regular buffs as usual, guys. But the thing is, we want to delay in using our physics flask till we start the fight. We're going to go ahead and start walking towards the fight here. As soon as he spawns in, he will not do a jumping attack the first time you fight him, but there's the attack you need to look for. But I missed it there, I whiffed, but I managed to get him the second time. Now when he does his ground attacks, always jump. Do not try to roll or you will get hit. Just wait for an opening and do your two-handed R2s. Only do the charge one when you have a great opening, and that's usually after a 3-hit combo that he's whiffed on, or the overhead one-handed slam like this. That's the one you're waiting for. And it will stun him pretty quickly. Go to Royal's Knight's Resolve. The critical will take him down to pretty much just a few hits. Look at that damage. Now it's just a matter of dodging his attacks. He does a 3-hit combo, like I said, and that usually gives you an opening for a hit. But always watch for that ground attack. Once he raises his leg up, get ready to jump. But right here, as long as you stay close to him, you can see the 3-hit combo coming out. He's really not that hard of a boss, guys. You just got to remember to jump. And there's that attack again. That's going to leave him wide open. And he's done. Try to put on your rune acquisition talisman here. And you'll get your final talisman pouch. Now we have 4. Now for the final boss of this area. Now, I did this boss very differently from anything I've ever seen anybody do on YouTube. I don't even know if anybody knows about this strategy that I came up with. But I 100% guarantee you that this is the easiest way to kill this boss, at least with our setup and our vigor. I've actually came here straight away with minimal requirements and managed to kill this boss with like a level 16 character. All I had to do was have at least 16 dex and 16 strength to kill this guy. You just need to be able to wield the pulley crossbow, really. But the trick to this boss that I have found, and the way I'm always going to fight this boss, is I'm not going to hit him at all until the very end. That's the key. Now here is a Black Knife assassin just hanging out. She'll just be camped out at the door here. Just do a few flowing forms, back up. You've seen this moveset many times. It's just another Black Knight. More slashing and damage. The critical damage they're a little resistant to, but the slashing damage will still do them in. Flowing form is just too good. Now this next incantation here in this room right here is going to take the place of Blessing's Boon. It is called the Blessing of the Erd Tree. It's a improved version of Blessing's Boon, although it takes twice the amount of FP to cast. But I'll take the extra healing over the extra cost. In addition, you're going to need 38 faith in order to cast Blessing of the Erd Tree. So that's why we're moving towards 38 faith. We'll get it by the end of this episode. Morgott will give us quite a few runes. Now we're reallocating our flasks here because we are not going to need FP in this boss fight. I'm going to go with 9 and 2 here. you're mainly just going to want to be able to heal yourself because you are going to take some hits from Morgott. It's inevitable. I mean, he's got this one attack he comes in with his hammer, and it's hard to dodge. And I am going to take a few knocks to the head here, but not too many. But here's what you're going to need for Morgott. You're going to need the 2 arrow talismans, the ritual sword talisman, the blood and poison bolts, and the pulley crossbow. That's it. Now you're probably wondering, you said you're not going to hit him until the very end. That's true. The spirit ash that I have been talking about from the beginning, the rotten stray ash, is such a good spirit ash that you can come here right off the bat, as long as you can wield enough weaponry to kill him at the very end. As long as you have the ability to use that spirit summon, you can kill this guy with little to no effort. So the trick is, you need Morgott's shackle though. We're going to put that on, and as soon as we enter the fog wall, we are going to summon in our rotten stray ash. You need the rotten stray ash to do all of the damage. You are not allowed to hit Morgott at any capacity until the rot wears off. But the thing is, the rot from this spirit summon, if procced, will cause more damage over time than any other rot that you can muster up. So we're using Morgott's shackle here to allow our rotten stray ash to proc the rot. All these free hits that the rotten stray ash is getting will easily proc rot. And at that point, we're just playing a waiting game. This is going to be a very boring 3 to 4 minutes of us just doing a circle around the arena. But as long as we do not hit Morgott at any capacity, he will not transition into his second phase. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let the rot do its work, run its course all the way till the end. Now, the amount of rot that this stray ash can cause is astounding. Morgott will not have much of his health left. Maybe less than a quarter of his health will be remaining. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run circles and dodge his attacks. And as long as you keep your distance and roll accordingly, you shouldn't have too much trouble. The problem is when he gets his hammer out and then he'll charge you, that's when you might take a hit. And I am going to take a hit from it. You'll see. But when he comes at you with a spear, just keep backing up and then roll. Wait for him to, start the attack animation about right there, and then just roll backwards. You're basically just going to be running around and waiting for this rot to wear out. That's the only thing we're doing. We cannot hit him at any point, especially after he's under his half of his health, because he should have been transitioned into his second phase already. But because we haven't caused any physical damage to him, the game is going to keep Morgott in his first phase. And this is good for us, because we don't want to deal with the second phase. This is, I think, similar to where you can poison the tree sentinel that we fought earlier. If you were to poison him with the poison mist spell, you're not physically damaging him. The mist is doing all the damage. It's all about physical damage. The game doesn't know that you've dwindled down a health bar. So it's kind of a loophole trick here. It's a very unorthodox way of fighting this boss, but I thought it was really cool because I had experimented with this idea and it worked out, and it's a very consistent strategy, so I'm glad I found it. And I think I like to hit there. I do recommend having the opaline bubble tears. We are going to drink the flask once he reaches the point where the rot wears out, which is very soon. I mean, just look at his health bar. We have not hit him once, guys. And now the rot has ended. So now we need to drink our flask and start using our pulley crossbow from distance. I like to just hit him with a few poison volleys first and then start bleeding him out. And as he's transitioning, he'll be dead before he even finishes his transition. To me, this is the easiest way to fight Morgott. That's it. And now that we've killed Morgott, the Omen King, we'll have access to the mountaintops of the giants. We're not going to travel to the mountaintops in this episode, however. You need to come up these stairs, and you'll get a message saying they are impenetrable. Turn around and hit the grace, and Melina will speak to you. She will give us the rolled medallion. This is our ticket into the mountaintops of the giants. But again, we're not going to do it in this episode, and we're not going to do it at the beginning of the next episode either, because we needed to start an NPC quest that we haven't done yet. And venturing too far into the mountaintops of the giants will lock us out of a reward that we do not want to lose out on. I think it's just you can't get the second half of the Erd Tree medallion, or you'll lock yourself out of a somber ancient dragon smithing stone. So we're just going to play it safe and start that NPC quest at the beginning of the next episode. And we'll also finish Box quest up as well at the beginning of the next episode. But now we're going to go to Stormville Castle, where we killed Godric the Grafted, and finish off 3 NPC quests at the same time. But we need to sit at this grace. We never did even activate this grace after killing Godric. So you want to sit at this grace and reload the area. Gostock is still here. If he's still hitting the remains of Godric, we need to reset the area and get him to move away from this area. But we have done the necessary steps for both Kenneth Height and for Nepheli for them to all be completed right here. So we need all 3 NPCs to move into this area right here, into this throne room. We're going to go ahead and open the door and reset the area. Upon completion of these 3 NPC quests, we will get not 1, but 2 ancient dragon smithing stones, which is huge. So he's still here. We're just going to exhaust this dialogue again. We're just going to go sit at the grace here, and all 3 NPCs should be in the throne room after this. As you can see, Gostock is no longer here. He is in the throne room with Nepheli and Kenneth Height. We'll talk to Nepheli first and exhaust all of her dialogue, and we will get an ancient dragon smithing stone.
It's been some time. I must thank you. I told Father I remembered the vow. This land is much that I will call upon. Again, some call me by though I have now abandoned. I cannot express how.
There it is.
Should you become...
And now we can get a second ancient dragon smithing stone from Gostock. This is why I said refrain from killing him, even though he was stealing our runes once we were exploring the castle and we died. It's not worth killing him because we'd miss out on an ancient dragon smithing stone. But he does charge us for it, 20,000 runes, but it's well worth it. Plus we just killed Morgott, so we got plenty of money. So just buy it off him and call it a day. Now, before we end the episode, we're going to go get a weapon that we kind of passed on at first. And we're going to go ahead and level up as well. We want to get our faith to 38. We got it to 37 here. But we're not quite done yet. We're going to go get this weapon. Another fist weapon that's going to be part of our build, called the Starfist. It's just like the iron ball that we got from Boggart, except it has spikes on it that will do bleed damage. So again, we're just going to put on the Crepus Vial, make this part easier. You do not have to get on the tree branch here. I don't know what I was thinking. You just run underneath the trees if you want to. I'm basically just dropping down when I could have just stayed on the lower level. So it's definitely not necessary. But you want to take the first path up here. Just take a left and follow the path. There'll be a building off to the right. And there it is. The Starfist. Now back to Round Table Hold to end the episode. We're going to buy some smithing stones from the Twin Maiden Husks and level the Starfist to plus 12 and level up one more time to get our faith to 38. So we'll be able to use the blessing of the Erd Tree. Didn't quite have enough, so I'm going to pop one of my big runes here. Now once we level up, that'll be the episode. In the next episode, guys, we're going to start a few NPC quests before heading to the mountaintops of the giants. But we will go to the mountaintops of the giants in the next episode. But we really need to start some NPC quests before doing so. We're going to use some of our big runes here. Level up the Starfist to plus 12. In the next episode, we'll be able to get all of our weapons to plus 18. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and level our faith to 38. Now we can use the blessing of the Erd Tree. And that'll be it for the faith for quite a while. We have to work on Arcane next to get it to 24. We're going to go ahead and put on the blessing of the Erd Tree. And that's it. I will see you guys in the next one.